Hi, I'm Summer May Finlay and I'm here with Justin Mohamed, who is the Ambassador for First Nations People. Can I just say, loved your presentation.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it's good to talk to people that are on the same, like we're all in the same boat as far as what we're doing and trying to progress and advocate and just make the path and the environment for the next generation better. And it's great to be in a room full of those people, yeah.
I can imagine this is a different type of presentation than when you're actually giving a presentation to non-Indigenous people. This is like being at home when I come to these conferences.
Yeah, well, it's been like that the last couple of days, just walking around. It feels so like people know who you were before you in this role, which is so good, because most people, when I speak to non-Indigenous people, they're just talking to me as the ambassador. But I come here, people know me as
You're just Justin.
Justin, the person who was, whatever, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, they all got their different stories, and it's great. And it feels like coming home. But yeah, my presentation was trying to, one, not assuming that everyone knows what we're doing, but also understanding the progression and the interest around Indigenous knowledge globally is becoming more and more a wanted commodity. And then not to misuse it, but to have Indigenous people at the table is now something which is really a real thing. It's not standing outside hoping to get in. It's like there's spots, we need to get the right people, the right information, and get prepared to do that. So it's been a great presentation a great group to present to.
I loved hearing about how when you were actually over with Linda Burney and you were talking about how Indigenous people, when we get together, we do things differently. Like, I think actually seeing that represented on the global scale is really important to understand how we do business and what's really important for our communities.
Yeah, look, this is, as I said, first time I've been a diplomat, first time as an ambassador, first time working for the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. So a lot of our international engagements that Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade have done, I haven't sat in the back seats watching it. I'm just coming in, this is the way we do things. And the feedback I'm getting from my non-Indigenous peers who've got way more experience in international diplomacy, they're amazed at where the conversation goes to, where we get to, what sort of subjects or topics we talk about, how open people are to talk, especially with Indigenous to Indigenous.
Yeah.
And that example I gave with Minister Burney, with the Interior Secretary of the US and Canada, and it was just amazing dialogue that took place, which people shared their personal stories in an international high-level meeting.
Yeah. Look, I have to say we need more of these. So, for example, I know that the NCD declaration's being discussed at the moment. Indigenous peoples have never been represented in that and named. There are so many opportunities for you and for other Indigenous peoples to really be advocating for us to be represented. What's the next big thing for you?
Well, I think it's not so much the next big thing for me. The next big thing for me is to ensure we build a pipeline which we have as many of our First Nations experts to have access to get to these dialogues and conversations and then put into them. And sometimes, that creating that pathway is difficult because not everyone wants to pack up and leave their warm places where they live to move to Canberra to work for government. And I think for us it's about, we need our community in communities.
Yeah.
But then they can kind of come into the international dialogue. So the next big thing for me, obviously there's the representation, opening doors, but then ensuring that we create that pipeline of First Nations, diplomats. When I say diplomats that can live and breathe and work on country, and then come into the international dialogue when they feel that it's the right time, but also when government is ready for those conversations as well. And we saw that with, I mentioned Dr. Terry Jenke. She used to, her own business and so forth, but she came and she was my senior advisor for 3 months on this very important topic of IP, and having a First Nations person with that expertise was amazing.
She's phenomenal.
Yeah. And the rest of the government just embraced her as part of the team, and we worked a way to do that. That's, I think, that would be the big thing for Australia, to have a pathway for our Indigenous experts. When I say experts, I know people doesn't sit that well, but we need people with the expertise in subject matter to be able to be around those tables, to be able to deliver, solutions, but also contribute to the conversations.
Look, at a personal level, you talked about opening doorways and leadership. I mean, I met you when you were chair of VATCHO.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I saw you do karaoke at one of the Nacho conferences.
Oh, you would have definitely seen that, yes.
Yep. Found that. But I mean, just even having you in this position as the first time there's an ambassador actually shows people like me who, you know, I'm not young but I'm not old, but there is opportunities and pathways to be able to have a voice for our mob at a state, national and now a global level. So the work you're doing is important, but you just being in that role is actually just as important.
Yeah. Well, the appointment of this role was quite different to most ambassadors, and it was an expression of interest. Any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person can apply, and in the application you had to write about what you have done, not about what you will do. And when I came into the role, and some people have heard this story, but when I was going to be announced, I flew into Canberra, went up to the Minister's office. There was Minister Burney was there, Senator Dodson was there, and obviously Minister Wong, and then all the staffing, and they were all patting me on my back, shaking my hand. I thought, this is good. And then Minister Wong ushered everyone out, and I was just left with Pat Dodson, Linda Burney and Penny Wong. That's when I started, you know,
sweating a little bit.
The palms got a bit sticky. I go, oh gee. And I said to the minister, Minister, you know that I don't come with the big background of senior federal government, you know, bureaucracy experience. And she says, Justin, we've got plenty of senior bureaucrats. We want you to bring what you've got into the department.
Because you bring that community control perspective. That's where you've been, that's what you've done.
And that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
And they've embraced that. And so I've kind of taken another saying that I've heard is, I'm just going to keep running till I get tackled. So it's like, okay, well, we'll try this. Well, we have never done it before. Okay, well, I didn't know that. Yeah. But I think this is, I mean, we have a bit of a laugh about it, but really who we are as First Nations people, it's no longer we park our identity, our cultural knowledge is outside, and then we walk in and, you know, with a suit on and with our notebook and try to fit the environment. We've got to bring our identity and who we are into those meetings, and that's what the world globally wants, and the Australian government also is wanting that, and we're just seeing that happen, where we want our First Nations expertise and knowledges and cultural expressions in those meetings now.
Yeah,
that's a different concept from previous, and to be transparent. I mean, our minister wants transparency of who we are. We haven't got everything right in First Nations, there's no doubt about that, but we can say that we haven't got it right, but what we have got, there's a lot of transparency of where we are going. I mean, the data that's available to every Australian of how we're tracking with Closing the Gap, that has come with all the work that's taking place, so we can learn from that, we can see where we need to move forward, but also, as I said in my speech, we have achieved so many great steps of advancement.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have nothing else for you, but I just really look forward to seeing where you go next in this role and hearing more about what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.